All right, everybody, welcome to Targeting Winners, or welcome back. This is episode 93. I even wrote it down this time. We're back, folks. We could not stay away for too long. We're too addicted. We need some more of that narcotic of college football. Welcome back. This is our third season with Darren and P. How you guys doing, boys?
Excellent.
Excellent. You sound excited.
Not too
thrilled.
Still coming down off the high of my Metallica concert. My hearing is pretty much back, and
Oh, nice.
Good times.
What did they open with?
Creeping Death.
Speaking of Florida State football.
Yeah, nice segue. Nice segue.
Wow,
Wow, that was good.
Right?
The opening act was Suicidal Tendencies, which as a Florida State fan.
That's a Florida State fan base right there. It's like,
wow. We thought this all worked so well. Beautiful.
Hold on, let me get my razor blade here. Okay, so. Well, as you can probably guess by listening to us, we are going to be doing our ACC preview. We might as well start off with the least among us of probably the weakest conference out there. Did not show well in the playoffs last year. They had two teams. Probably shouldn't have had two teams, but both early exits. I think Clemson was the one team that kept it within the spread. Were they close or no? They were the closest game.
They lost. I think they lost by double digits, but I think they were like a 12.5-point dog. I don't think they covered.
Mm-hmm.
And SMU, I believe, had like 2 pick sixes against them, and I think the first round, like all the favorites covered pretty easily, if I remember correctly. So,
right.
But yeah, like you said, two teams in 0-2. I believe SMU was the 11 seed, Clemson was the 12, and for the most part, they played like it. So, I don't know if you guys think the ACC was the most disappointing conference. Tim, I know your team probably leads people to believe that, but I don't know if anybody thought they would get more than 2 teams in anyway. So, I don't know.
I mean, you can't be disappointed if everyone thinks you suck anyways. How can you be disappointing? I mean, if anything, 2 teams exceeds expectations from last year. So, but yeah, it is what it is.
It was probably the most exciting conference championship game we had, if I remember right. Like Clemson
went down to the wire.
Yeah, SMU fought back, and it was like a 56-yard walk-off field goal or something like that. So, I mean, great title game. Yeah.
Yeah, they had. I think Clemson was up like 21-3 or something like that, and then SMU came back or 28-7.
They were blowing them out.
They were up. Yeah, and SMU got the memo that you got to play 2 halves. So
that second half got them in and kept Alabama out. So good on them.
Words work. So there we go. See that? Or at least kept Miami out. So that's more important for me. So
Mario Cristobal kept Miami out.
Yeah,
we all knew he would.
True.
2 years ago was the Georgia Tech game. Last year, the Syracuse game. You can always count on any Cristobal-led team to.
We call it every spring. He's going to do something. So,
Yep.
I mean, if you think about it, Clemson getting in, they shouldn't even have been in the ACC title game. If Miami didn't Cristobal the Syracuse game, it's Miami and SMU battled for the automatic bid. So
they backed their way in.
But that was last year. It's
a lot of changes coming this year. So
yes.
A lot of changes coming, a lot of transfer portal. Probably not much on the field change, but Lee Corso calling it quits. He's got one more game. What's it, on the 25th? They're going to do it. And
whatever week 1.
Yeah, but they should have him go to Alabama FSU and do that game. I think that game's on the 30th. I think they were saying his last game's on the 25th. But, I mean, they should send him to town. He used to play there and everything.
I think it's going to be Texas, Ohio State, so he can put that bruise head on one more time.
Yep.
Probably have Kirk Herbstreit's kids and all that. Remember, he used to bring the kids out all the time, but they're probably like 30 by now. I mean, he's been doing it for 30. Well, the headgear pick about 26 years or something like that.
Long time.
When did he start? 98?
It was a while.
Like putting the hat on and the headgear and all that. But
I mean, I'm happy for him, but I think it's a little overdue, man. He was entertaining, but some days it was like, oh man, I feel bad.
He's been done for a while. I mean,
it's
about time to be done.
You see the decline, but I mean, it's going to be weird. this year at like 5 minutes to 12, you're looking up at the TV and it's like,
Yeah.
not seeing the
like,
crazy old guy.
Like, is somebody going to do it to replace him, or are just going to be like, no, you know what? We're not going to do Lee dirty like that. We're just going to give our picks. And
no,
if Pat McAfee puts it on, there's going to be outrage.
No, he won't. I don't think you can't really replace that.
Yeah, I think they just don't do that anymore.
No, they'll find something else. But ESPN's got like the monopoly on crazy old guys, like with Dick Vitale and then Lee Corso.
Mel Kiper.
You know, yeah. My God. So that's a big change. But looking forward to it. And let's get into the season, guys. ACC. Initial thoughts. Darren, what are you thinking?
You know what? I'm cautiously optimistic that some teams that were an afterthought last year are actually going to step up and improve. There are some teams that were an afterthought that I think are going to remain an afterthought. And I spent maybe like a half hour or so trying to figure out how to bet against Clemson because they're such an overwhelming favorite that I think I saw somebody like a month ago got them at like plus 225 to win this conference, but that number is long gone.
Yeah.
I think it's 180 something when I saw it last time.
Yeah, I think FanDuel is like what 165, Pete, or something like
Oh,
that. 160. Wow. Yeah, it's come down.
It's
I think.
Dropping. Jesus. So
but yeah, but we're gonna save those for the end. Pete's gonna start us off with one of his favorite ACC teams because one of his favorite ex-quarterbacks is now running the program. So, Pete, kick it off. Who are we starting with?
Yeah, we're starting with the Dancing Trees at Stanford. So interesting developments with this team over the past couple months here with Andrew Luck. So, I mean, we talk obviously college football here, but I am a Colts fan and have been a long time on the NFL side. So this is a guy that I have really mixed feelings on. Great player for us back in the day, clearly as a Colts player. Left us in a lurch by just kind of disappearing right before the season started. So I had a good amount of dislike for the man for a number of years. I've mellowed on that. Really good guy. I think he could do some interesting things here. I mean, he has largely zero experience doing that, so I don't know what's going to happen there. Obviously, with the coaching change in the 11th hour here and bringing in one of my former coaches to coach there is interesting. At the end of the day, at the moment, it doesn't matter, right? This team doesn't have a roster that can compete in the ACC. They're just outmatched at this point. So it's going to take time. We'll see what can happen with what Andrew can do. But at the moment, this is just a non-competitive team. So not a lot more to say about them at this point, other than that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the hiring of Frank Reich when they came out in the press conference and like we mutually agreed that this is just like a 1-year thing. That kind of tells me just play the game, see who we got. Let's see who we can keep, and maybe we can get some people here. But when they fired Troy Taylor, they lost a lot to the Poros. Remember, they have that 30-day window when a coach no longer is running the program. So like Ashton Daniels, their QB actually left, I believe, during the winter. They've got a freshman, Elijah Brown, who's most likely going to be the starter, barring a change. But the big one was their linebacker, David Bailey, who's probably one of the best players in the portal. He's on a different team now. And this is already a team that was towards the bottom in the ACC in points scored, yards gained, and defensively, they were last in points allowed, second to last in yards allowed. This just looks like a complete rebuild. I mean, they're plus 40,000 at FanDuel. They're even higher at DraftKings if you really somehow believe in the tree here. Win total of 3.5, which is actually juiced pretty high to the under. I see like minus 144. Mm-hmm. I mean, they go to SMU and Miami. They host Pitt and the big wild card of this conference, SFU, St. Francis. No, Florida State. And then a non-conference home game against Notre Dame. So 3.5 is a long shot here. I'm not gonna lie, I'm waiting for a line to see week 0. They go to Hawaii. I don't know why I always fall for the Hawaii hype every year. Curious to see how that line comes. Maybe jump on Hawaii right away, but yeah, Stanford hardcore pass here. This screams rebuild. I don't even know if they're really looking to accomplish anything other than maybe set a foundation for 2026.
Yeah, I had them on my no shot list. I just broke down the conference into like different stages, and they're on one of my team. I didn't really look at them at all. Just a side note, on Twitter, Andrew Luck, there's a Twitter follow of him as a Civil War general because of his beard. Great follow. I don't know if it's still on there. Go out there and click on it. I don't know. I think it's like General Andrew Luck or Colonel Andrew Luck.
That's going on for years. That's like I got a decade in now. It's great.
Dearest mother, we march on Nashville to take on the mighty Titans. It's just awesome. So, only thing good about that. So, where you going next, D?
I believe Wake Forest is next on the odds board here. Looked like they're plus 35,000 at FanDuel with a win total of 4.5. No returning starters here on that offensive line. So that's already a huge strike, which is a shame because they have a running back who gained over 1,000 yards last year. I would expect regression here. Damon Claiborne. And again, who's going to be the starting QB? They did get a South Carolina transfer in Robbie Ashford. Maybe he's the leading candidate at this point. Who knows? But again, this is defenses in the bottom 2 or 3 in most statistical categories. Schedule's not awful. But I don't see anything here on either side of the ball that's going to make me want to bet on them. Looks like only 7 returning starters. Spring portal, people moving still hasn't settled yet, but that's what they had going in. Yeah, just not a lot here. I mean, I like Robbie Ashford, but I mean, he's competing with 2 other guys, so who knows if he's even going to be the guy. And like I said, their running backs are already working against offensive line's not going to have any returning starters. So no lean here on the win total. Just probably looking to fade these guys at any opportunity.
Yeah, I paid them no attention at all. I don't think they have a chance. They have 0 shot. The good news is I said the same thing last year about Arizona State. And, well, if that holds true, Wake Forest, ACC champs. So there we go. They'll be in the playoffs. I mean, but yeah, I do not see they're another team on my no shot list, along with, I'm sure the next team you're going to put up there is Cal, and they're on there too. So I don't know, Pete, if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Wake's in full rebuild mode at this point. I mean, their defense might be decent. I think their offense is going to be very, very subpar. So I don't know what they're going to do in this conference. It's not that it's the greatest conference on the planet here, but I just don't. I don't know where they go here. I do think they have a future, right? We talk about this all the time when we discuss the conferences and some of these teams that are in the lower tier. I do think they're on the right path. So I do think they could build to something. They're just nowhere near it yet. It'll be interesting to talk about them in a couple of years and see where they brought this thing to. But as of right now, I agree, no shot.
Agreed. Well, the next on my no shot list is Cal. And you guys, is that the same order?
That's correct.
Pretty much in. So yeah, I broke this down into like 3 or 4. The no shot list, I got, Cal, Stanford, Wake, NC State, Florida State, and Syracuse. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. Yes, Florida State has no shot.
Well,
I guess we say this about. Oh, go ahead, Pete. You got Cal thoughts.
We talked about Cal a little bit, right? So losing the quarterback, Mendoza, is a problem, right? So I think their defense is decent. I think they're different than Stanford and Wake Forest, where I don't think they have a roster at all. Stanford and Wake Forest to do anything right now. I do think Cal could maybe surprise people. Do I give them a shot? No. Are they down a quarterback? For sure. But if they have somebody who steps up at that position, they could be okay. I mean, not abysmal. I mean, if you look at pretty much everything here, it would suggest that, they really have no shot. I think they're a little bit better than that, or could be better than that, but still, in terms of what they have right now, I don't give them much of a chance to do anything.
Yeah, we talk about shopping around. This is an extreme example. FanDuel has Cal at plus 15,000 to win the conference. If you're a DraftKings player, you only get plus 4,500, which is an insane difference. So if you're a Cal believer, by all means, please go to a state where you can get FanDuel because you'll get a much better number. Their posted win totals 5.5. It's actually juiced to the over. So along with Pete's thoughts here, there are some things to like. He mentioned the defense. Their defense was really good last year.
Oh.
And I didn't even realize that. Maybe it's because they're West Coast. My old ass can't stay awake to watch their games. I don't know. But defensively, they were an excellent unit.
Yes.
But also, piling on what Pete said, they're going to need to be excellent again because in addition to Fernando Mendoza going to Indiana, they lost every running back they ever had on the roster from the previous year, most notably Jaden Ott, who went to Oklahoma, I believe. I think he went to last year, or who he went to this year. And there's some reports out there that their new offensive coordinator, Brian Harsin, who used to coach Boise State, I believe, and kind of wore out his welcome there, is already doing the same here at Cal. Apparently, a lot of the offensive players not a fan of his. He's not doing anything to endear himself to the offensive unit, hence the entire running back room and other parts of that offense leaving. So curious to see how they're going to put any points on the board. But yeah, I agree with everything Pete said. I think defensively, this is still a pretty good ball club. I got 5 returning starters on that side of the ball. Schedule's not horrible. I mean, road game at Louisville will be tough, but they get SMU and Duke at home, 2 of the teams that are in the upper part of the odds board here. Am I confident enough to bet the over 5.5? Not when I have any idea how you're going to score points. So I'm leaving this team alone. Just petrified of what that offense is going to look like. So anything future-wise on Cal, I am passing.
Yeah, I thought about that over. I toyed with it. I thought about it. It's right with the quarterback situation. It's really, really hard to make that bet. I mean, if they get a serviceable quarterback in play, then I like that over. But right now, it's too speculative. So I don't know where to go with that.
Okay. What is next? Keep it going.
I got Virginia here next, I believe. Plus 10,000 to win this conference. Win total posted at 5.5. Juice to the over here. I kind of like this team. I don't know if you guys agree with me here. Offensively, they did lose Anthony Calandria to the portal, but they brought in Chandler Morris from North Texas, who statistically had a much better year. Now, I get it. Playing in the Power 5, totally different from playing in the ACC, but that gives me hope that this offense that was 16th in points and 14th in yards can really only improve here. Defensively, they did have some issues as well. They lost Cam Butler, which isn't going to help them improve on their 19 sacks that they got last year. But this schedule, again, not terrible. I mean, they go to Louisville. They host the big wild card, Florida State here. I kind of like this team. I did not bet over 5.5, but that's where I'm leaning. I think they got something to build on here. And just a note here, if anybody out there was breaking down the schedule, like, wow, why did they have 9 ACC games on their schedule? Well, the powers that run the ACC have decided that over the next 6 years, NC State and Virginia are only going to play one time. So Virginia and NC State decided to have a home and home starting this year where they're going to play each other, but it's not going to count in the conference standings. So that road game at NC State, if they lose, not a big deal if you're worried about them winning in the ACC. So a loss only affects the win total there. So just a reminder, that is a non-conference game this year and next. But I like what Virginia's got going. I like Chandler Morris. I'm curious to see how he's going to perform at a Power 4 school. But I think there's something to this team. Are they the 14th best team in the conference? No, I think they're better than that. So maybe finish.
I had them on my dark horse list.
Yeah, I like what they got here. I can't tell this is an upgrade in quarterback play just because of the step up in competition, but. My first lean of the year here, I would lean over 5.5 with Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like an upgrade. I mean, Chandler Morris, I like that pickup. I think that is an upgrade. The issue with that's not where their problems were last year, and I think they have the same issue right now. Is the offensive line? Right, the offensive line was an issue last year. The defensive line was an issue, but slightly lesser than the offensive line. So I mean, Chandler, I think, could do well here if they can keep the guy off his back. And that's my concern with them. If they can't shore up that line, if they don't produce better play than they did last year, it doesn't matter who you put back there, it's going to be an issue. And so to me, that's it. I think they are a dark horse if they can shore up that line, because they do have a quarterback that can, I think, generate some yards, generate some points here. So I think it's a good thing. Their defense is serviceable, we'll go with. So I think they could be a dark horse. It just, to me, it comes down to the O-line. So that's my 2 cents on Virginia.
Who's next, Peter?
Sorry to. Oh yeah. So NC State is next.
Oh, why did I have Boston?
Wait, hold on. I could be no. I'm sorry. BC is next. My bad. I read the wrong list. BC is next.
Let me see. Where do I have them? I have them improved, but they're barely above my no shot list.
I don't know how improved. I mean, Castellanos is gone to your favorite school there, Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wonder who's the QB. Is it going to be Dylan Lonergan? Is it going to be Grayson James? Either one is a step down, I think, from what Castellanos brought them. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the last name of the defensive end they lost, who I believe went to the Cowboys, but he led that team with 16.5 sacks. They had a pretty solid unit last year, but losing him is gonna be tough. They're plus 8,000 to win the conference at FanDuel. Win total of only 5.5. That's actually juiced to the under. This schedule is. I know we've got a schedule that's just as bad as this, but they got home games against Clemson, Georgia Tech, and SMU. They go to Louisville and Pitt, and they host Notre Dame. My God, they could lose all those right there. I don't know. I don't know how this team gets over, but I'm not betting the under. Because there is that unknown at QB. One of these guys could be really, really good. But their defensive end, Ezeraku, I'm just going to call him that because I think that's how you pronounce it, but wouldn't be honest if I was wrong. So be it. He's not listening anyway, so who cares? But yeah, just unsure of what the quarterback play is going to look like and losing their best defensive player. And that schedule is just, God.
With that schedule, you almost talked me into the under here. I mean, 5.5. Wow, I think you're correct. I think they could very well lose all those games, and that's an issue, right? I think this is a team that is in a rebuild mode for sure. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if Cal finished above them in this. I mean, I think there's opportunity for multiple. So I think this team is going to have a questionable year, and the more we talk about it, that under is looking interesting. Well, I'll leave it at that.
All right. Next.
And BC thoughts, or are you just like that?
No, they're on that list. They're barely above my no shot list, so I kind of just moved on. I was at time crunch, so I figured out who I wanted to look at and who I didn't, and they were on one of the don't look at them list.
Okay.
So I can't be talked into a vote or a bet for any weird.
I'm secretly working for Vegas. I'm trying to talk you guys into all kinds of bets, so we have more to talk about at the end of the show. What we got? Pittsburgh next?
Pittsburgh next.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so man, this team interests the hell out of me, man. Okay, they started 7-0, then they decided that we're just going to get everybody injured, and then we're going to lose our last 6 games. So if this team can stay healthy, and I know that's like a cop-out way to start an evaluation here, I kind of like this team offensively. I mean, Eli Holstein, legit QB. Desmond Reed is back. I mean, the offense coordinator is in the second year, so they might even improve on that almost 33 points a game that they scored. That win total of 5.5, heavily juiced to the over here. They've got, I have them for 14 returning starters, 7 on each side of the ball. Their leading tackler, Kyle Lewis, is returning. He had over 100 tackles last year. At first I thought 5.5, that seems kind of low for what this team's bringing back. Road games against Miami and, a non-conference road game against Notre Dame. Louisville and Georgia Tech come into Pitt. I don't know what time of the year those games are, but, if Georgia Tech goes to Pitt in like late November, I'm sure they're going to hate that. But I kind of lean the over here because I think that offense could be one of the best in the conference, but man, they can't have the injury bug bite them as bad as it did last year. I mean, totally derailed their
I
season.
hope not.
Yeah,
I mean-
I kind of like what they're bringing back.
They always seem to play good defense too. They always just seem to have a stingy defense. They were just slightly below. I was close to maybe looking at a number for a dark horse bet, but I decided on a different team. But they were close. It was between my real pick and this team, I think, for my dark horse.
Yeah. Pete, you're the totals guy. What do you think? 5.5 seem kind of low to you, or is it just me?
I'm on the fence on this. When I kicked this around for a couple hours yesterday, my issue, I think they have the skill position players on offense are good. Once again, the same thing I just said before about our prior team, which is offensive line concerns me a little bit. Right, if they can shore that up, if they play well, I think this team will score points. On the defensive side of the ball, they lost a number of players, so that concerns me a little bit as well. But at that number, that is an intriguing number. I think I would lean over on that. I think there is opportunity there for them to go over that number, but it'll be tight. They're not going to win 8 games. I mean, I think but I think they could certainly go over here. But they're that's the two major things, right? Offensive line, and can they overcome the defensive losses, right? If they can do that, I think they have skill position players that can carry the team. So that's what I thought.
Pete, who's next? I believe it's a team I can't do anything with unless
I believe it's Syracuse that's up next. Yes.
All right, Pete, give us your thoughts
on
Syracuse.
Yeah, so
go for it, man.
Clearly, losing Kyle McCord is a problem for this team. I would argue that the reason this team was as good as it was last year is because of Kyle McCord. So I think that's not something they can overcome anytime soon. I think that's a big deal, right? I think production just leaving, and I don't know how they move around that. I mean, I think they did some decent things in the portal, shoring up the offensive line once again. Austin Collins from Louisville, which is a good get. So I think their line is going to be good, but who's going to play quarterback, and at what level are they going to play? Right? To me, that's the issue. I do like Fran Brown. I really do think that the structure he's building there is good. So this is another team that I think does have a future. Syracuse team seems to be this way these days, where they're good, then they're not, then they're good, then they're not. There's a lot of that where they go back and forth. I think this is going to be they're not year, but I think very much next year could be they're good again year. Right? I think that's the way to read Syracuse at the moment. So I think it's just a down year for them. I think losing Kyle's a problem. But I do think they have the right coach and the right base to do something in the future.
Yeah, he's a great recruiter. I love what he did there in year one. All right, so this is something that worries me. In addition to what you said, I believe Fran Brown was in a press conference and said he doesn't shower after losing because soap is only for winners.
December's
I'm taking a look at their losses on the offensive side of the ball and their schedule. And this dude's about to take like 4 showers the entire season of winter. I just don't get anybody get within 100 feet of the coach's office because there's going to be some stank coming from Fran Brown if he holds to this. So, yeah, Pete, you mentioned Kyle McCord. Running back LaQuint Allen is gone. Tight end Rodney Gadsden is gone. Their wide receiver, Pena, he just went to Penn State today, I believe. He signed with them. He's gone. This defense allowed almost 30 points a game to start with. And Pete, you and I were talking earlier about their schedule. Holy crap. I mean, they host Duke. They host Pitt. They go to Clemson, Georgia Tech, Miami, SMU. Brutal. They play Tennessee. They play Notre Dame.
Yeah. Brutal.
And this total is 5.5. How is this not 4.5 or even 3.5? Talk about me talking you into a bet. Damn.
That schedule is just brutal.
That is the worst schedule. What did Fran Brown do to piss off the people that make the schedule? My God, that's terrible. Mm-hmm. Tim, thoughts? I'm done ranting.
They lost McCord, but they lost like a lot of the receivers and the tight end too. I mean, it's lost everybody. It's like if they hit that, say if they win like 8 or 9 games again this year, I mean that's coach of the year for that guy. I mean,
dude, that's coach in the Hall of Fame without even doing another thing.
So Well, maybe that makes his players play hard. That way they don't have to smell the coach. So we need to win because he just smells too damn bad.
That's just unhealthy. He's got to change that rule. He's got to change that rule.
No, keep it going.
No.
Make a
I live like 3 hours away. I might start to smell that from coming from his office.
It'll keep the press conferences shorter, that's for sure. Press will be, okay, how's the game, coach? All right, bye. Later.
Yeah, everything will be a team. Every press conference will be a teams meeting. Then nobody going to want to be in the same room with the guy.
Moving on, what's next, bud?
NC State is next.
One of the last teams on my no shot.
Go ahead,
Interesting. The interesting thing with NC State, I was just looking around the last couple of days to see what other people were doing with them. Right, looking at other predictions for the ACC and all of that. I've seen them all over the place. I've seen them in the last 3 or 4 in the conference. I saw them in the top 5, which I think is ridiculous, but I've seen them everywhere. So this is a team that to me is just kind of floating around the middle somewhere. I mean, they need to figure out quarterback, number one. Right, I think their defense is decent, so I think the defense will keep them in games, and so that it feels like a similar story I told earlier. Right, if they get a quarterback that can produce, they could be decent, and maybe they are in the top 6 of the conference. If they don't, then they might be in the bottom 5. I have no read on this team, and I tried really hard to get one, and I got more and more into the rabbit hole the more I looked. So I kind of threw up my hands and said, I don't know with them, and that's where I stand.
Dude, I agree 100% because I started looking at this and I started looking at the offensive side of the ball and like, okay, CJ Bailey, he's a sophomore this year. He had some moments last year where he looked like, yeah, he could be the real deal. And then he had some moments I'd like, dude, do you even read the playbook before you go out there? So, I mean, him stepping up is obviously a key. And one thing I did like, which gave me a little hope for promise for this team, their new offensive coordinator was the quarterback coach. So he's somebody that's worked with Bailey last year. That I would think can only help going into 2025 here. Offensive line's a concern. A lot of losses there on that side, or in that unit, I should say. They're going to need to get somebody in there to keep Bailey protected. Defensively is where I've got a huge concern here. I believe they had 11 players, I read somewhere, hit the portal, all on defense, obviously. They hired a new defensive coordinator, DJ Elliott. He's been a defense coordinator for 9 years, and he has never had a defense in the top 60 in any of those 9 years. And the secondary lost all 4 starters. Okay, throw in home games against Georgia Tech and Florida State, road games against Pitt, Miami, road game at Notre Dame. Their posted win total 6.5. It's juiced to the under. That makes sense to me. I didn't bet it, but it is a strong lean. Questionable defense, and you don't know what you're going to get from Bailey. So not a bet, but a strong lean under the 6.5 here for this team.
No thoughts either way. No shot.
Thank you, Tim, for your insight. That was.
What do you think? They suck. Moving on. They got no shot. I would just refer to you to your research on a defensive coach.
Apparently, he's not very good. That's all I got.
He does not execute.
When you're 0 for 9 at getting into your defense in the top 60, was it 10th time the charm? I'm going to say no.
Well, if you're not in the top 60, that means there's a group of 5 teams with better defenses. Because back, there was 5 conferences. There's only 60 teams in the Power 5. So, I mean, it sucks if you got, Texas El Paso with a better defense than the defense you're coaching. So, but I think we're done with my no shot list, except for FSU. But,
Glad to see you're positive. 34 minutes into the season. Oh, wait. Speaking of not being positive, Pete, you go with the next team because I hate this team with a passion.
What, about Virginia Tech? Really?
Well, because I bet them last year to win the ACC and they played like ass, so I got nothing good to say.
Okay, fair enough. So that's a spiteful comment. That's okay. I get it. That's fine. I think this team is interesting as hell. Honestly, they truly interest me. I think this is a team. So right now, over under for wins is 6.5. I think this team could easily win 8. Could. I'm going with could, right? So I'm leaning heavily over on that over 6.5. Do I think they're going to win 9 or something? I do not. But that defense is good, and I expect they will be good. And I think they can score points to be in games. I mean, they're certainly not world beaters, but 6.5 feels low to me. It really does. If you look at their schedule, that feels low. I think that, for a little proxy, I think there's some play there on the over. Once again, I'm not betting it right now. I'm just leaning it, but I do like the over. So Darren, firebomb them.
No, I'm gonna respectfully take the other side. Just because for going into the spring window, only 3 returning stars on each side of the ball. Kyron Drones was not healthy last year, which I think was a part of it. Yep. They lost a lot of their running game. A couple of those guys went to the NFL. They're bringing in a new offensive coordinator. I think injuries was the problem. I don't think it was the offense that they were running. I do like their defense. You said their defense was decent. They certainly were. They had stats similar to Duke, and we all know Duke had a pretty good defense last year. But again, you're bringing a new defensive coordinator. I think your defense wasn't the problem. So I got a feeling their head coach is going to lead Mark's hot seat rankings. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but I'm going to guess he's leading the hot list. I'm not a super huge fan of this schedule. I mean, they host Louisville and Miami. They go to Georgia Tech and Florida State. They got South Carolina. You see them beating an SEC team? No. Oh, but they play Vanderbilt again, who they lost to last year. The unofficial start of the Pavia Mafia. I mean, if Drone stays healthy, okay, yeah, maybe I can see where you're coming from, but that's a big ask, losing a lot of his skill players. And it's not like any of those games, those 6 teams that I mentioned are layups. I mean, the Florida State game maybe, but that's a Tallahassee, so who knows? I'm going to respectfully disagree. I didn't bet it, but I would lean the other way here. And maybe it's because I followed them. Maybe because I'm bitter because they sucked ass when I picked them in the ACC championship. I try to keep that out of it. But yeah, very few returning starters. And I don't know if Drones can stay healthy.
I'm not sure either. I mean, like I said, 3 returning starters on offense. One of them is Drone. So best case scenario, 2 returning offensive linemen. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know who the other 2 are, but it's basically, Kyron Jones and the Pips. I don't know anybody. It's him. He's running the ball or he's throwing the ball. He took a lot of hits.
And that's why he gets hurt. Which
I mean,
I don't know, in a 12-game season, if you can count on him to be there for all 12 games.
They'd get 2 O linemen through the portal, though. So I think they're working on that. I mean, I think that will help shore that up. I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to be great, but I think they'll be better. And if they can keep him upright, the guy can play. So I'm just curious to see what happens with that.
He can play.
My bet would be that he's going to stay upright, right? If he's not upright, then it doesn't matter, right? But at the end of the day, if he's going to stay upright, I think they could win 7 games. I do.
Okay.
All right, that's
now we come to the part of the show where everybody's tuning in for.
I'm going to say 3 letters, and I'm going to cede the floor. That's you.
Tim, do you want us to say our bit? Just keep it short, and then you can, so you have.
Well,
a
I'll
minute
try to keep it as short as I can.
Thoughts.
I mean,
we don't want you to keep it short.
You can rant for half an hour if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, just in the last week and a half, their 1 5-star recruit they had a receiver left. 2 of their transfers, one I think got arrested and one got kicked off the team.
That feels right.
Or maybe the one that got arrested got kicked off the team, and the other one's transferring. I can't even keep track of it anymore. I'm nauseously optimistic about Castellano. I don't know. They said he played with Malzahn somewhere, had a previous stop, maybe UCF, and before he transferred to BC, and a reunion, and they're gonna, crap out rainbows and unicorns, and everything's gonna be happy. I don't see it at all. I think best case scenario, 6 wins, maybe they'll get a bowl game, and then we'll see what happens. That's, we've only got about 20 minutes left. I don't want to take up too much of the time that's going on here.
We don't have a time limit, Tim. You speak your mind, buddy.
I'm going to be like that dude who was in Congress the other night for 25 hours. I don't know how he did that without just like totally pissing himself. But anyway,
That's unbelievable. I mean, honestly, that's a long time. That's unbelievable.
I mean, I'd almost rather watch that than some of these FSU games this year. But yeah, I just don't see it. They're my disappointment for the year because it seems they always are. So at the risk of dropping some F-bombs here, why don't you guys go on and then talk about I mean,
Pete, you can go.
They didn't even get to the practice field and they got arrested.
Oh, he's still going.
Clearly,
I think he got arrested. I think I read because I get these things on my Twitter feed and on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and it's everyone's leaving. I don't even know who they have there anymore in the receiver room. They had a bunch of guys. They brought in some guys, and as soon as they come, they leave.
Well, it's a totally different offense, right? Malzahn's offense is different. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. They have no shot this year. They have issues. That said, right? I mean, Malzahn runs a high-power spread offense thing. If they can get the right people for next year, there's hope. There's not hope this year. Right? You don't have the people. You're right. People left. People getting arrested on the field. I don't know what the hell's going on. Feels like Miami North now, pretty much. But whatever it may be, yeah, I don't see that. They'll be better than last year. But then again,
you think?
How could you not? Right? But maybe 5 wins.
They'll be better than last year. Oh, wow. Great. Talk about a low bar. Jesus
I was trying to be slightly optimistic there. That's it.
Well, they'll be better than last year. It's only 10. Who they beat last year? Did they beat like Tennessee Tech or something? And Cal. They came back in the last minute to beat Cal.
An impressive victory, by the way.
And then they beat Tennessee Tech or some directional school. Yeah, the schedule that they have weirdly placed bye weeks. Like they play 2 weeks and they have a bye. They don't have any byes going into the Miami game or the Florida game. And yeah, they're just going to get crushed. It's going to be a massacre. Just go ahead.
All I was going to say is you got a posted win total of 7.5 and the under is juiced minus 210. Yeah. You might as well look for 6.5 or even 5.5 and bet that. Yeah, I'm sadly, Tim, I hate to say this, I'm not optimistic either. Everything I read, they have a top portal class incoming. Yeah, well, they did last year too, and they lost 10 more games than they did the year before.
Pound the under.
Yeah, I mean, the schedule sucks. You got Miami, Clemson, NC State, the non-conference against Alabama. They're hosting Alabama, and they're already a double-digit underdog. They go to Florida.
I do think they'll score some points this year. I mean, I think the
quarterback has definitely improved, no doubt. Yeah. But what about the rest? I mean, they could never get the running game going. They couldn't stop anybody from running the ball against them. Those are two vital things if you want to win football games.
That defense was terrible last year. Good God.
If you want to hit this win total, I mean, this juice is telling me it might drop to 6.5 before too long. Or see if you can find a book that's offering 6.5 at a much better, juice here, but this minus 210 makes 7.5 untouchable. But it certainly tells me that this is a 7-5 team at best.
Yeah.
But I don't even that might be.
That's just a stretch.
This might be a rebuild. This might be more of a rebuild than Stanford or Wake Forest. I mean, this just I don't know. I think there's just a lot of public optimism because Florida State is probably a public team and wow, they got to be closer to their 13-0. Season, and they're going to be their 2-10 season. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not touching this team. If anything, I might bet Alabama week 1, but there's not a lot of optimism here for Tim Seminoles. Sorry, bro.
I'm numb to it. He's at this point.
All right. Now we're going to get into some teams that might actually be halfway decent here. Hey, where's your Duke schedule? I think Duke is next on our list. There we go. All right. Duke lost our favorite quarterback to pick on, Malik Murphy. Where you go to
Yes.
Oregon State? Apparently, where all quarterbacks go to get good, and then they go to a real school and suck. Yeah, I'm talking to you, DJ Ukulele. But yeah, Darian Mensah, who they paid like $8 million to for the next couple of years, he should certainly help that offense. They were 15th in yards in the conference, 12th in points. A lot of skilled players need to be replaced here, though. Their top 2 wide receivers, their top tight end is gone. Running back Star Thomas is gone. Defense should still be good. And I think, like we talked about Cal, I think this defense is going to have to keep them in games until Mensa get used to work with all these new playmakers here. Their schedule is really nice. That win total of 6.5 is heavily juiced to the over. There's no Florida State, no Louisville, no Miami, no SMU. They host Georgia Tech. The road game at Clemson will probably be a loss, but if it weren't for the juice, I would probably be on Duke over 6.5. It's a lean, not a play. But yeah, I think Mens is a huge upgrade from Murphy. I'm interested to see what he can do with some new skill players there.
Yeah, this team was close. This team was close for my bet. For with these future bets, I like the hedge hunt. This was one of my teams that I thought could probably get into the game. Then look for the old hedge. I love the schedule. All the road games except for Clemson are winnable.
Yep.
And at home, Georgia Tech would probably be the toughest one, maybe Virginia. But yeah, I was so close to picking this one instead of my actual bet. But yeah, I'm liking the schedule. And yeah, the upgrade from from your buddy Malik Murphy from last year with the kid from Tulane. So yeah, excellent. That was an excellent pickup. It's shocking to see, Duke paying someone $8 million for football. I mean, basketball maybe, but I never thought they would commit that much for football. So that's nice to see.
They weren't keeping Cooper Flagg, so they figured they'll throw it at a quarterback.
Yeah, might as well. What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, nothing different. I think this is an interesting, potentially surprise team. I agree with you, Tim. I think I see, just looking at that schedule, easy 8 wins here. I mean, easy aside, but I see 8 wins, maybe better. So the over, certainly. I mean, it's not that enticing right now because of the juice, but the over, I think 8-9 wins, maybe. I mean, they have an outside shot to get into the title game. I mean, it's outside, but it could happen. But I think this team is going to be in contention. I think they're going to be pretty solid. So yeah, I'm interested in watching some Duke games this year and seeing what they can do. But I think they've done a lot with the portal as well, shoring up that team, of course. So I think there's some very good upside here for this team. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I wouldn't bet it right now, but there's certainly some upside.
It might even be a decent play. Now I'm looking at that graphic that Tim provided. That Illinois game, that's going to be tough because Illinois looked really legit this year. And that game for Mensa going back to Tulane, I mean, if anybody knows the new Duke quarterback, it's Tulane. So there's a possibility they start 1-2. And then in which case the over win total would probably be a nice price because, like Tim had said, the rest of that schedule, maybe except for the game at Clemson, I think all of those are winnable. But if they start 1-2, I'm not against taking a shot, if the win total is still 6.5. I don't know what you guys think. I'm just trying to look. I'm looking at that schedule. Like outside of Clemson from September 20th on, where do you see any definite losses?
They could win all those games. No question.
That's why I'm like maybe hope for a slow start, or maybe even a loss at Illinois down.
But there is definitely upside with this team. I mean, they could surprise for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and good for Manny Diaz. I think he got dismissed from Miami a little unfairly. I mean, he was there 3 years, got into 3 bowl games. Like, oh, we're sorry, that's not good enough.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm happy to see him do well there his first year at Duke.
And he'll get the defense. He's a defensive guy, so
yes.
So.
Oh, and what a nice segue. Speaking of defensive coaches,
boy.
Bring up Chapel Bill, baby.
Chapel Bill.
Bill, the North
Smoking mirrors, baby. Smoking mirrors.
All right. I'm going to start first because I have a bet here, but I'll keep it short. All right. And Tim, I know you're on board the North Carolina train because your boy,
my boy,
Gio Lopez
Heisman winner,
has
2025.
transferred to the
Yes.
University of Bill Belichick and will most likely be their starting quarterback. And thank goodness, because they had nobody. Sorry, Max Johnson, I love you, but you're coming off a broken leg. And then they had a freshman, Bryce Baker, who might have actually been the starter had Gio not come on board here. I kind of like this team. I think even though they lost O'Marion Hampton, I think offensively they're still going to be okay now that Gio is most likely running the show. I mean, there's one thing we know about Bill Belichick. He's a defensive-minded guy. He's got his son, who was a defense coordinator at Washington. They had a pretty good defense last year, even though they lost a ton of people from 2023. He brought over a couple of their best defenders with him, so they did do okay defensively in the portal. This team was terrible defensively. We all remember the 70-point train wreck against James Madison. Despite being 14th in the ACC in points allowed last year, this was still a 6-win team. So, defensively, really, they can't go anywhere but up, I would think. And look at this schedule. All right, so I have a bet. At one time in mid-December, the only futures bet available for college football was the North Carolina win total. My degenerate ass jumped all over it. Over 7.5 was slightly plus money at FanDuel. I snagged it. And I was listening to somebody else in mid-December, and I can't remember who it was, so I can give them the credit. But they brought up a point because they were talking about this bet. And they said if you had to put an over-under a number of games that Bill Belichick is going to be outcoached, like you would probably set that at 0.5, and you would probably bet under. I mean, who is going to outcoach this guy at all? And we all know when he was in the pros, he used to torture these young quarterbacks like something fierce and never showed any mercy. Well, I get it defensively. He doesn't have NFL talent on that side of the ball. But probably none of these quarterbacks that he's facing, except maybe Cade Klubnik, is going to probably be playing in the NFL someday. So, the TCU game is a standalone game, I think, on Labor Day. Obviously, I'm going to be watching that. At UCF, Scott Frost is back there, and they lost everybody. We all saw what Scott Frost did to Nebraska. Totally destroyed them.
You don't think Scott Frost can outcoach Bill Belichick?
I'm going to say no.
Okay. Interesting.
It's possible. Okay. He did really well when he was at UCF the first time, so who knows? But his cupboard's bare down there as well. I like the bye week before the Clemson game. They're not going to beat them, but I don't think they're going to get shellacked either. But then look at those last 7 games. Those are all winnable games right there. At Cal, complete rebuild. At Syracuse, complete rebuild. At Wake Forest, complete rebuild. At NC State, completely shredded defense. Yeah. 7.5 is doable here. It's a little bit minus money now. So maybe wait and see. Maybe they lose to TCU to start off and then maybe jump on it. But Tim, move over, buddy. You got somebody else riding the Gio Lopez train because
plenty of room on the bandwagon.
Thank you. I'll sit in the back seat. I don't care. But yeah, I got a bet here over 7.5. I think plus 102 is what I got. This was basically a bet on Bill Belichick, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't think he's getting out coached, so I'm betting the over. All right, you guys go ahead. I'm done.
You want to go, Pete?
Sure. I'll be contrarian on this. Although, because this schedule is a softball toss, I'll give it the over, right? If it wasn't for this piece of crap schedule that he got handed, which is just once again, softball toss, I think he's going to bust out there. I think he's just holding the spot for his kid. I do not think he has the right skill set to deal with college talent versus pro talent. I think he's going to piss off a lot of people that don't want to play for him. Many of the people that played for him over the years talk about how tough he was. These are kids a lot, right? This is a different world. I do not believe in the Bill Belichick nonsense that's going on here. I just think he's holding it for his kid. That said, only because this schedule is a flipping softball toss, I agree with the over. And because Gio's there, which is great. I love the guy. Great player. I wish he went someplace else other than there. Because I root for him. I can't root for Bill ever. So that's a problem. But, I think it could be a solid year because the schedule's great because Gio's there, all that. Longer term, I see a dumpster fire. I see a raging dumpster fire, and I will bet that after this year all day long. But until now, go with the over.
Well, I don't have a bet currently, but I will have a bet because I will be Venmoing Darren some cash after we're done recording because Hard Rock Bet does not have the bet that I want to place, but I guess DraftKings does or whatever. Yeah, you use DraftKings, right?
I got
FanDuel.
I got 4 different apps. I am in full-blown degenerate mode already.
But
I will find you the best number.
I am hedge hunting, and I am plus 1,800 is the line I saw on ESPN. Plus 1,800 to win a conference. Do I think they'll win a conference? Probably not. Most likely not, but get a nice hedge at the end of the year or a buyout. Maybe they'll offer, 9-1 instead of 18-1, whatever. If you can lock in a 9-1 profit there, not bad. Again, the schedule, they got Gio. I don't know. Does Belichick's kid, does he still have the mullet?
I believe so.
I haven't looked.
If he's got the mullet, they will crush the win total. They'll probably be undefeated if he's got the mullet. We'll have to keep watch on Gio and Belichick's girlfriend at the end of the year. Maybe we'll see if anything's going on there. But yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, wouldn't that be great?
Great.
That alone gets him the Heisman if he does that.
That was going to be my counterpoint to Pete saying he can't handle college talent. His girlfriend is college talent.
Isn't she like trying out for Miss America again or something? Did I read that right? She's like going back to the Miss America pageant or something.
Yeah, she could win. Pete, I don't know what FanDuel's got, but I got DK here, North Carolina to win. I got 22-1. So I don't know what FanDuel's showing, but
where's my phone? God,
just the one app I got open right now is I got 22-1 for
2,200. Yeah,
I see 18-1.
Okay, so right now DK's got a good number. I'll check BetMGM and Rivers later.
Yeah. That's a good number.
Yeah, send it after the show, Tim. We still
got. No, I want to get it now before it.
Okay,
people are gonna listen to this, and we're gonna alter the line. Totally.
Now I have to change the sheet that I sent you with our picks, but that's okay. I'll fix that after the show. All right, who's next? Pete, who's next? Tech?
I believe Georgia Tech is next.
Yeah, we're getting into the good teams now. Right. Go ahead, man. I got to change
this is a good team. I mean, actually, this team is the team I think might surprise. Not that they're, so far down to the weeds that they would be a huge surprise. This team has talent, offensive side of the ball, really good. Love the quarterback, ton of weapons. I really think the offense is going to perform. Defense is where my somewhat concern would be. So I need to see the defense step up. And really, if you look at this team, their challenge over the past couple of years has been consistency, right? They need to be consistent. They haven't been. They've been all over the map. And I think if they can get that under control, and that quite often consistency comes down to defense, right? Defense is controlling the ball, controlling the clock. That's what you need. They have not been able to do that consistently. I think we can see that here. And I think this offense is pretty gosh darn good. So I'm excited. I think this team could absolutely make a run for this conference this year. Once again, a little bit of a dark horse. Obviously there's a couple teams we're going to talk about in a few minutes here that, probably have better talent and certainly better prospects in terms of winning the conference. But I would not count Georgia Tech out. I think they have an opportunity here to win this conference, if they're more consistent. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And the only thing I'll even add to that is you had mentioned the defensive side of the ball. I'm curious to see how they start out because they lost their defense coordinator last year, Tyler Santucci. Yep. He had that defense fourth in the conference in yards allowed per game. The previous 5 years, they allowed more than 400 yards a game. Last year was only 333. So that guy made a huge difference for them defensively. If they don't take a step back and can somewhere stay around similar numbers, Pete's spot on. At the very worst, they'll be playing somebody in the ACC title game. That schedule is not bad. Yep. They host Clemson. I mean, we all saw what they did against Georgia last year. It took 8 overtimes before Georgia finally beat them. And their coach always seems to knock off a top 10 team like every year. Sorry, Tim, not to bring up Florida State, but they were ranked 10th when Georgia Tech took them down. Yeah, I mean, if Haynes King can stay healthy, I mean, he runs a lot. He's susceptible to getting popped and potentially injured. I know they lost Eric Singleton, but they got Eric Rivers. And I fought a lot of Florida International last year because I was chasing that 4.5 win total. He's pretty good. So I don't think that's going to be a huge drop off there. Keep Haynes King healthy, and that defense does not regress. Yeah, Pete's 100% correct. This team will be playing first week of December.
Yeah, you pretty much stole my thunder there. I did have them in my dark horse category, but like I said, with Geo there, I pulled the trigger on UNC. But yeah, I've written down what you guys just said. So good to go there. Good job.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
Let me cross this off.
So I think SMU is up next.
Correct.
Smooth.
Well, I'll start with SMU. Why not? So this team is going to score, right? They have big play threats. I like their offense quite a bit. Once again, similar to what I just said a minute ago, I'm not concerned. I just need to see their defense stay healthy and be consistent. My biggest concern with SMU is I think their first tier talent is good, like really good, especially on the offensive side. But after that, there's a pretty significant drop off. I'm concerned about their depth. Right, this is a team. There are other teams in the top 5 here, that could lose a player or two and still be competitive. I think with SMU, they have a much bigger depth issue where if injuries start to play into this team, they will have an issue. Right, if they stay healthy, I expect a lot of points, and I expect them to be in any game, and I think it could be quite interesting. But this is where injuries could really hurt a team because they just don't have that depth. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, Tim said I stole his thunder from the last team we talked about. You kind of stole mine there. I mean, everything you said, total agreement. I mean, the two things I'm concerned about with them offensively, Kevin Jennings didn't go into last year as the starter. Preston Stone had to stink it up a couple games before he took over. He's not going to surprise anybody this year. Now everybody's got some film on him. Plus, like Lee, last time he was out on the field, he was throwing pick sixes all over the place. In the playoff game. So curious to see the next big game that rolls around, how he performs there. And they lost Rashard Smith, their running back. He had almost 1,700 yards combined rushing and receiving. That is a huge piece of their offense. And Pete had touched on the depth issue. Somebody's going to have to step up and do something to replace him. So yeah, I expect SMU to still be good. That win total 8.5 seemed kind of low. It is juiced to the over. But again, their defense, which was great last year, only 3 returning starters on that side of the ball. They host Miami and Louisville. Their only tough road game looks like it's Clemson. Plus 750 to win. I mean, I would like a little bit higher than that if I'm betting on this team because Pete did mention the depth issue. One injury could really screw up their season here. Pass on anything for them. For me, I think there's a little bit of regression, but not enough to keep them out of the ACC title picture, if that makes any sense. But, no bet for me here on these guys.
Yeah, I had the same thing written down here on my notepad. A lot of losses. Watch out for the injuries. Depth. We're all on the same wavelength here. Nice for once, huh? We're getting down to the nitty gritty here. There's not that many teams left.
Put up that team we saw in person last year. Well, one of the teams we saw the team we were rooting for in person last year. Not them.
That was a fun game last year. I had a great,
beautiful game.
Great stadium, great atmosphere. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
It was. Who wants to start? I got a bet, so I'll go first or last. I don't care.
No, lead us off, man.
All right. I am betting on this team to win the ACC. And just quickly here, this offense should be legit. I mean, we saw them put up 45 points against Miami. We know Miami has no defense. Still, Miller Moss is coming over from USC. And we all know head coach Jeff Brom gets a lot out of his QBs. He got a lot out of Tyler Shuck last year. He got a lot out of Jack Plummer the year before that. Moss, if he goes to his early USC days, is better than both those guys. So I think quarterback, they're going to be okay. The main thing, Isaac Brown and Duke Watson are back at running back. That is, I think, the best running back combo in this conference here. They'll be able to control a lot of games here. Plus, you got Chris Ball and Colin Lacey coming back at wide receiver. This offense should be insane. Now, the problem I had with this, and maybe it was because we all watched them give up 51 points, but then I told myself, that's to Cam Ward. That's not really fair. They lost a lot of their secondary. That needs to, they need to get the secondary together. And I was just looking at some of their defensive stats, because all I thought was, God, they were terrible. But, I was there watching them be terrible. In their 4 losses, 155 points. They only gave up 313 points for the entire year. So, in 4 games, they gave up half the points they gave up. They only gave up 114 in the other 8 games. So maybe defensively they weren't as bad as I thought. But from what I saw, they were pretty bad. But again, that's Cam Ward in Miami. So, and they also gave up 34 in their bowl game win. But that quarterback from Washington, he looks legit. But that's another conference for another time. But the schedule, not terrible. They do go to Miami, but I still don't trust that defense. They go to SMU. We already touched on those depth issues. They host Clemson. I don't know if you guys remember, Louisville rolled into Clemson last year and put a double-digit beatdown on the Tigers. So maybe they can beat Clemson at home. Who knows? But win total 8.5, heavily juiced to the over. DraftKings has them currently at 8-1 to win the ACC. And I jumped on that. I think at the very least, this team, if they get anything out of their secondary, this team, they could be playing Clemson again in the ACC title game. Or Georgia Tech, who knows? But I think Louisville at least got enough on the offensive side of the ball to outscore some teams. And I think they'll be playing the first week of December. And then if I have to hedge, so be it. But yeah, I'm on Louisville at 8-1 to win the conference.
That's a good bet. If not for Clemson at quarterback, we'll talk about that later. But I would say that I can see that game against Clemson in November, both teams being undefeated, and that kind of when we had divisions, it would have been nice. It would have been, for the division championship or whatever. But I think that could definitely affect the seeding as far as the conference championship game goes. That's going to be a good game to watch. I'll be on the couch for that one.
I don't like where the bye weeks are. I'd like to see one later in the year, especially somewhere closer to that Clemson SMU, back-to-back run they got at the end. But, after that bye week and that game at Miami, which I do think they could win, BC, Virginia Tech, Cal, all winnable. So hopefully they'll be on a nice little roll going against Clemson. And Miller Moss does not go back to the end of his USC career where he got
right.
Just Isaac Brown. That dude, he led the conference in rushing, and he was a freshman. And Duke Watson might be better. He averaged over 8 yards a carry. They got 2 guys that can hold the ball 35, 38 minutes a game if they need to. So, Moss isn't coming into a bare cupboard by any stretch of the imagination, and I think he's legit. So, at 8-1, the number felt good. So,
I don't think they'll be running the ball to shorten the game is in terms of keeping the other team off the field. I think it'll.
Well, if that defense is the ass, they're going to be running it to keep the other team off the field.
If they keep putting up 30, 40 points a game, it might just be run out the clock and boat race the teams into victories. So I like the offense. I think.
Oh yeah.
If they score 38 points, and you still got to score 39 to beat them. So even though if you have Cam Ward, you'll score 50-something. What did they score that game? 56 or something?
51-45. Yeah, I tried to keep that out of my mind. I was like, and I started looking. I was like, wow, when they lost, they really lost. And everybody's going to say, oh, they had 4 losses last year. They're all by 7 points or less. Yeah, that flips over from year to year. No, that your teams are switching constantly every year with the transfer portal. So I don't really buy that anymore. But again, that goes to coaching. At some point at the college level, coaching matters as well. Hence my North Carolina bet. But Brom's a QB whisperer, man. He gets the most out of whoever he's got there. So, and I think he's got a good one in law. So I'm sorry, Pete. Go ahead.
No, I agree with everything you said. Other than the bet, right? I have strong lean. I did not bet them, but I actually think Louisville is going to win this conference. Feel semi-confident about that. And could they be running toward the playoff? I don't know, maybe. But this is a team that has a ton of upside. Will be interesting to watch this year. So everything Darren said, ditto.
Same here. I said my piece. I'm good with it. Where do you want to go next?
Oh, we're going to go to your other favorite team.
Oh, well, let's. Ta-da! Well, it's all about the U. That's like I always say.
That's what I hear.
Hey, the U is back. They're back. This is the year. They're going to win it. They're back again.
Go ahead, Tim. You're already started.
Well, you could probably just put in the tape from last year. I mean, look, they're going to start out hot. They'll probably beat Notre Dame. They'll beat,
they're not
South
beating
Florida. They'll beat Florida. They'll beat Florida State. All that stuff, and then, well, they're in the state of Florida like the whole year except for like 2 or 3 games. And I mean, you talk about the late season collapse. I give you Virginia Tech and at Pittsburgh the last 2 weeks of the year. So there's your collapse right there. They'll probably crap the bed one other time in there. Crystal ball. And
they should have lost to Virginia Tech last year. I'm sorry that Hail Mary was a catch, but I digress. My bitter true. Virginia Tech. Yeah. They called it a touchdown, then you reversed it. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if Carson Beck's going to be able to play without worrying his car is going to get stolen or his girlfriend's going to burn down his apartment or something. I mean,
they broke up, Tim. My God, don't you?
Well, I know. She's going to like burn his, bitches be
Nobody
crazy.
likes Carson Beck. He's not a nice person. Jeez, Tim.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, let Pete talk about Miami.
Chase, I don't know. They're going to score points, I think. I'm not a big Beck fan here. I think it'll be serviceable. It'll be fine. They'll score some points. The defense is good-ish. Good enough, maybe, is what I call them. So, yeah, I like some of the other teams we talked about better. I mean, I like Louisville better than Miami. I don't really – we're not to Clemson yet, but I like Clemson better than Miami. I don't think they're going to win this conference. I think, obviously, they're going to be competitive. I think their schedule lines up okay-ish for them, especially to start – well, forgetting the Notre Dame game. Doesn't matter. But beyond that, I mean, I think they'll start out well. But to your point, Tim, I think they're going to hit NC State, Vatek, Pitt. And will they lose at least one of those? Yes, probably. Could they lose 2? Maybe. I mean, that would seem to be the way this typically goes here. So, I'm not a big believer. I would not bet on them here. They might prove me wrong, but I'm not feeling it.
I really hope the weather in Pittsburgh on November 29th is like 13 degrees.
I was just going to say, Miami is not going to enjoy that trip at all if the Northeast weather is anything like Northeast weather usually is.
I mean, Virginia Tech might still be cold, too. It gets cold up there, too.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to us down here. So, I mean, it'll probably be in the 30s or something.
I mean, piling on to what Pete said, I mean, I have no idea what this offense is going to look like. I mean, yeah, they could probably score points, but, I mean, I don't know how much of a downgrade you guys think Carson Beck is from Cam Ward, but I think it's pretty significant, especially considering this dude hasn't even been cleared to start throwing yet.
Yes.
So obviously he's not 100% healthy. Damian Martinez is gone. Isaiah Horton's gone. Xavier Restropo's gone. I mean, this offense is like a complete rebuild. In defense, same way. Their defense sucked last year. It sucked the year before that. New defensive coordinator comes in. They got a lot of depth. I mean, they added a ton of people defensively, but how long is it going to take before you get all these guys to play together?
Well, Crystal Ball can recruit.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, they talked about all these portal additions on the defense from 2023 to 2024. Well, their defense still sucked ass, and their secondary was horrible. So again, now you're bringing in all these new players. It's like Florida State version 2.0. Yeah, is it going to work? Who knows? Looking at that schedule there, the road game against SMU should be tough. You mentioned the Virginia Tech and Pitt road games. They're probably going to lose one of those easy. I don't think they're beating Notre Dame. I mean, I know, Tim, you're a big Riley Leonard dude. But yeah, Notre Dame should just run the ball all over these guys. I mean, yeah, I don't see Miami beating them. Then it becomes desperation time. If you're 0-1, okay, now all of a sudden you feel like you got to win out because you need that Notre Dame loss to be like, hey, well, that was a good loss. Maybe we can get an at-large bid. But that second half of the schedule there, they got 3 possibly really tough road games. So
yeah, they do.
And somewhere in there's going to be a Cristobal game because there is every year. I just don't like Beck at all. Wouldn't even surprise me if he doesn't make it through the season healthy. I don't know who their backup is, but he's probably going to get some work.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah,
I just think they're behind the 8 ball already. I don't see it.
Yeah, the thing is that he can recruit, and in Miami, you can't throw a rock without hitting a 5-star recruit athlete of some kind for football. So.
Yeah, because if you're throwing rocks at people, you probably play for Georgia.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Beck. Did he leave the keys in his car when it got stolen? Did I hear that right?
Something like
He
that.
left the keys in the glove box or something in the car, and the guy just drove off.
Great.
All I know is Pete will be front row at an REM concert before Mario Cristobal has a clean season as the head coach. But I'm just going to say that.
That's right.
I mean, they call it dope for a reason. So, all right. So, should we go to the overall betting favorite?
That's the only team we got left. I think we don't have much of a choice.
I wonder who it is.
Let's get in our horse racing mode and figure out how we're going to beat the favorite, guys.
Right. I'll say this for Clemson. I dumped on Dabo a lot about the transfer portal. If you took the under, if the under was 1.5 or transfers in, and you took the under, you would have lost. He actually exploded on the transfer portal this year for 3.
Yeah.
3 whole people.
Go Dabo.
Hey, for him, that's big. Come on.
But they don't lose too many people. I mean, there's something to be said for, the continuity of the whole thing, teams playing together. I don't think Cade Klubnik is that good, but he's been there for 4 years. So,
he's really good. What are you talking about?
I think he's overrated.
He's not. He's going to be sitting in New York City with 3 other people waiting to see if its name gets called for the Heisman. Sadly, it pains me to say, but that dude is good.
He is good.
Well, if that's the case, then why bet anywhere else for the ACC?
Because the number sucks.
Well, the number sucks. What are the numbers for the championship?
Plus 2,000. And I was actually going to say, when I started talking, if you want to bet Clemson for anything, I would rather do that than win the conference.
That's a better bet because judging from everything we've seen, they're going to be in the playoffs. And if they're in the playoffs, they got is this his 4th year? Yeah, this is last year. So, they got the quarterback, knows the system and all that. If he's going to be sitting there for a Heisman Trophy, team's going to be good. He's going to be good. Plus 2,000, bet him to win a championship and see what happens.
I'll just say this before I turn it over to Pete and let him wrap up here. This number is insane. It's like plus 160 at DK, plus 165 at FanDuel. I wouldn't touch that at all. All right, the total is 9.5. It's actually juiced slightly to the under. 2 big questions I have with that. Yeah, they got more returning stars than anybody in the conference. I get that. I know that's why they're the favorite. They have the best team on paper. Offensively, who's running the ball? Okay, yeah. Maffa's gone. The dude who was running it last year, Jay Haynes, tore his ACL. Probably not ready to start the season. They got a freshman, Gideon Davidson, supposedly the fresh face on there. Is Dabo going to just try and find one guy? Is he going to have a first and second down back, a short yardage back, third down pass catching back? I don't know what the hell he's going to do. Defensively, my concern, they brought in Tom Allen, the guy from Penn State, to be the new defense coordinator. This team sucked at stopping the run last year. All right. They were 16th in the ACC. There's only 17 teams in the ACC. Tim, I know Florida State was 17th, but no sense opening up that wound again. and just some games where they lost. Okay, here's their 4 losses. They lost to Georgia early on in the season. They gave up 169 yards rushing. They lost to Louisville. We touched on that earlier. They gave up 210 yards rushing. They lost to South Carolina. South Carolina ran for 267 yards. And we all remember them getting beat by double digits at Texas. Texas ran for 292 yards in that game. So anybody with a decent running game has been able to beat this team. That is obviously huge, not just come December and playoff time, just like all year long. And you've got that schedule up there. They start with LSU. They end with South Carolina. We all know how Clemson does against SEC. Georgia, South Carolina, and Texas, 3 of their 4 losses, all SEC teams. So while they may be talented in regards to the rest of the teams in the ACC, they still appear to be behind schedule when it comes to the SEC. And I think that's why this win total is only 9.5 and it's juiced to the under.
Yeah.
It just seems like, when you look at what they go to Louisville, they go to Georgia Tech, they go to South Carolina. That's a road game. The under kind of looks good here. But yeah, who's going to run the ball for them and who's going to stop the run for them? And unfortunately, those are 2 huge things that you need to do well when you want to win football games. So at 165, I'm totally avoiding this. Like Tim said, 20-1 to win the whole thing. That's a much better bet. I agree with Tim on that.
Uh-oh.
Well, you just took my whole song and dance here because I do have a bet here. I have a.
We should really start comparing notes because we never.
We shouldn't be. That was like spot on, but yeah, I've got a 2-unit bet on the under of 9.5 here. To Darren's point, anybody who can run the ball effectively puts them on the ropes, right? And they have a hard time coming back from that. There's a number of teams he just mentioned on that schedule that can run the ball, and they will run the ball at them. And I don't think they're going to be able to stop them. And if they can't, they're going to be playing chase, and that's going to lead to mistakes and other issues. So as it has in the past, right? This is nothing new. So yeah, I think that under 9.5 is really enticing because of that issue. So it's also why I thought Louisville is going to win this conference as well, right? Is I think that this is a major Achilles heel flaw for Clemson. But who knows? We'll get into week 3 and it looks like they plugged it and we're good to go. Then fine, then I'm wrong. But until I see that, I don't believe that issue has been resolved. And if it's not resolved, they're going to have some issues. So once again, 2-unit bet on the under of 9.5.
Yeah, they could easily be 1-2.
Yeah,
they could easily lose to LSU and lose at Georgia Tech. Very easily be 1-2 to start off. Your bet could cash. Yeah, hopefully it cashes October 4th if they lose to North Carolina. But
right.
And that South Carolina game they lost last year, that was at Clemson. Now they got to go to South Carolina and an improved Lenora Sellers. Come on, man. 9.5 is ridiculous. That's a great bet. I love that bet, man. I might make it 2, but nothing right now.
Why not?
Well, should we review? Wrap it up?
Yeah, we're going to do a little something new this year. Instead of me making 9 million spreadsheets for everything, we're just going to combine it into one.
Excellent.
It's easier for me. Yeah, so what we're going to do, guys, the next 8 shows after this, we're going to just break down a conference. And instead of having like a win total show, a Heisman show, or whatever the hell else we did to put some content out there, we're just going to keep everything on one sheet. And this is obviously going to grow with every show. So what we thought would be fun to do, conference by conference, we're going to pick a team that we think is going to win. We think we're going to pick a team who we think is going to surprise people. And I guess all our criteria is different. We can discuss what we use for that. And then we're going to look at a team that we think is going to disappoint. Any bets that we've made regarding whatever conference we're talking about are going to be listed there on the right. So I'll start since I'm already babbling. I think Louisville is going to win this conference. Obviously, you see to the far right, I have them at 8-1 to do that. I talked about how I like Virginia. They're the 15th highest odds on DraftKings and the 14th on FanDuel. I think they're going to outperform that. I think they're going to go over their 5.5 win total. I'd expect them to be maybe 9th or 10th in the conference, maybe even 8th, depending on how some things fall. But that is my surprise team for 2025. And It looks like all our disappointments are in Florida. I'm going with Miami. I think the quarterback downgrade is significant. I don't think who they have is healthy. Major losses on both sides of the ball. I think it's going to take some time for them to get it together. So I'd say Miami is your second betting choice. I don't think they're even going to be playing in the conference title game. And then my other bet, talked about earlier, I have North Carolina over 7.5. Got that way back in December. A little bit of plus money. So yeah, that's what I got for the ACC.
Yeah, I'll go next because I'm very similar to Darren here. So my winner, we talked about it already, was Louisville here. I just think Clemson's going to stub their toe, and I think Louisville's going to be more consistent, and I think that will lead to them winning this conference. Surprise team. I talked about Georgia Tech. If they can find some consistency, they've got something to work with. So I could see them outperforming what's expected of them. For disappointment, Miami, for the same reasons Darren mentioned. I think the quarterback is a significant downgrade. And beyond that, there's other issues as well, but just on that alone, right? That's an issue. In terms of my futures bet, so I mentioned the Clemson bet, 2 units under 9.5, and Syracuse under 5.5. The main reason for that is their schedule is just an absolute beast, and I don't know how they're hacking through that thing and getting over 5.5. So that's where I am. Thank you.
I like both of those, man. Those are great.
And I got Clemson winning the ACC. My surprise team is Duke with the upgrade at quarterback, huge upgrade at quarterback, and Manny Diaz working with the defense. And disappointment, Florida State. Why? Because I'm just gearing up for another disappointment season. All right. We're already over an hour and a half. I'm gonna stop right there. I did have a bet of UNC. I'm doing some hedge hunting. I had it on ESPN at plus 1,800, but my man Darren said he can get plus 2,200.
Yeah, I'm going to update that for the next show because I got at least 2,200. I'll check MGM and Rivers after we sign off here. Might be able to get you a better number. That'll be updated in a couple of weeks. Go
hunting for a buyout, a little hedge hunting right there. That's what I love to do with these future bets. Plus 2,200 sounds lovely. So if 1,800 was good, 22 is better. So that's where I'm at. Any final thoughts?
No, just guys, like I said, we're looking to grow the show here in year 3. So leave some comments. This video will be up on YouTube and Spotify, as well as the audio will be on Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcast. I don't think anybody's checked the email in a while, but Tim, give them all the place where they can reach us because I know you got those all committed to memory.
Yeah, so you can find us on X at Target Wins. You can also find us on Facebook at the Targeting Winners page, Targeting Winners YouTube page. Please like and subscribe, hit the review, say lots of good things about us. And that'll be it for now. We'll be back next week. What are we doing next week? Big 12?
I think we're going every couple of weeks with the conference yet to be determined.
All right.
Well, it'll be a surprise for all of us. We're looking forward to it. College football's almost back. We can't wait. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.